Hey everybody, it's Will Middleton and Chris Badgett from Lifter LMS. We're here for Feature Friday, a segment that we're bringing back to Lifter where we demonstrate popularly asked for features in Lifter LMS, give you a quick tour of how the feature works and how you might want to use it in your LMS website. The feature we're going to be talking about today is prerequisites. Now, prerequisites means a couple of different things in Lifter LMS. Let me pull up a screen share and I'll show you exactly how the prerequisites work inside of Lifter LMS. Let me share my window here. Cool. Awesome. Chris, can you confirm you see my back end of WordPress?
We can see it. And I'm just putting a link in the chat to the documentation of what we're talking about. Take it away, Will.
Awesome. So, like I said, prerequisites means two different things inside of Lifter LMS. And a prerequisite is basically a requirement you need to complete before being able to move on to another piece of content. So Lifter LMS includes prerequisites in two different ways. One way is on the course level. If I click edit on any of my courses and I scroll down to the course options, we see this blue bar. There's an option for restrictions. And if I click on that, I have an option to enable prerequisite on the course level. So this is going to be requiring a student complete a specific prerequisite course before being able to move on to this course. And the value of that is you can create a sort of a program. If you have course 101, course 201, course 301, you can set them so students need to complete 101 before moving to 201. And it creates more of a structured content amongst different courses on your website. Lifter LMS also includes prerequisites in another way on the lesson level. If I were to launch my Lifter LMS course builder here and expand my sections, we have all of my lessons here. And currently students can jump around from one section to the next. They could, take the course welcome, then jump down to this lesson. But if I wanted to have my students complete lessons in order, I could click on my edit lesson settings icon there. It'll pop out this sidebar on the right, and I'm looking for prerequisite. We see it right here. If I switch that on, I can select a prerequisite lesson. So my prerequisite for this lesson would be the course welcome. And then I would just go down the list. Lesson 2, prerequisite. The prerequisite for this is lesson 1, a lesson with quiz. And I would just go down the line, including all of my lessons in prerequisites. And so now students would need to complete course welcome before being able to move on to lesson with quiz. They'd have to complete lesson with quiz before moving on to lesson with assignment. And they would just have to go through my course in that linear way. So those are the two prerequisite types Lifter LMS includes. And another feature I wanted to demo here is if we go back to the course prerequisite area, we can actually use a shortcode. Lifter LMS has all kinds of awesome shortcodes you can use on your website to display various pieces of content to your students. There's one called course prerequisite, and that's going to display a notice describing unfulfilled prerequisites for a course. So if a student were to come to your 201 course, a 201 course here, I want to tell them that they haven't yet completed the 101 course. So let me actually label my courses real quick. We'll call it College Planning 101. So my college planning is my 101 course, and then my 201 course is saving strategy. I want people to complete this 101 course before moving on. So I'm going to go to restrictions, prerequisite, and I'm going to select my, what was it called? College planning. College planning 101. So you must complete college planning 101 before moving to my 201. And I'm going to leverage the power of this Lifter LMS shortcode here to display that message to students in case any students are confused. So we'll add a shortcode block here in my WordPress editor, paste in my shortcode. And if we read the shortcode block, it says the course ID parameter here, course ID equals 123. That's going to be the post ID of your course. You can see it in the URL bar. Mine is 3367, so I would want to replace this with 3367. But if we read this, it says no course ID is required if we're using this shortcode on the course page directly. The reason we have this parameter, this course ID 123, is maybe you want to display this shortcode on a blog post or a sales page somewhere else in your website. But since I'm using it directly on my course page, the shortcode already knows what the post ID is. So let me go ahead and view my course and see if this works out for me. Here we go. So this red message is being generated from my shortcode, letting me know before starting the course, I need to complete the required prerequisite course of 101. So that's how you can display this message to students so they know this is the prerequisite track. I need to go complete 101 before moving to 201. And that's how you can set the prerequisite on your course level and set the prerequisite on your lesson level. And so I wanted to pass it over to you, Chris, and ask if you have any kind of like general rules of thumb or things that you've seen in the industry as to why people would want to use prerequisites on the lesson level or on the course level, what the purpose of this feature is, and maybe what instructional designers and people who build courses might be able to add to their course site by leveraging this feature.
That's awesome. Well, the main reason to use a prerequisite is just where it's absolutely essential that they complete something before they move on to the next thing, whether it's at the course or the lesson level. It becomes more clear when to use them when you have things like, let's say, a final exam on the last lesson. You may want to make sure that they've completed all the lessons before the final exam, or at least certain lessons that they really have to have finished before they can hit the final exam. And if you think bigger, Lifter LMS also has something called tracks. So if you want to create a degree program where a bunch of courses can be completed in any order, and then they get, like, let's say, a master's of accounting or whatever the degree is, within that you have certain courses that are chained together where I can't take 201 until I take 101. That's a basic example. And then the simplest thing is really just to put people in order at the lesson level. If your content, your learning content, is really sequential in nature, and this helps protect the user from themselves, from kind of ADD jumping around when they really shouldn't be. If it's really important that they stay on track. I definitely don't recommend using prerequisites if you don't need it, though. If what you have is like what I call a resource course, where every lesson is kind of independent and it doesn't necessarily need to be taken in order. If that's the case, it would be frustrating to a user to have prerequisites. So it really depends on the type of course you're making. And then also in your mind, I would encourage you to get clear on the difference between prerequisites and drip content. So drip content is, and we'll do a separate video about this soon, where, like, they can't even access lesson 2 until a day after they enroll in the course. And then lesson 3 drips out, another day later. That's different from prerequisites, but that's called drip content. And you can actually use drip in conjunction with prerequisites to really, kind of create the experience you want. And the last thing I'll add is just that in a membership site, Lifter has memberships. And if you want to, have certain courses within the membership chained together and taken in a certain order, that's really the primary use case for prerequisites.
For sure. And one last thing that I had not mentioned in the demonstration is that you can also use a course track as a prerequisite for another course. So if you have like 3 courses that need to be completed before moving to the advanced version, maybe there's 3 beginner courses that need to be completed before moving to the advanced course, you could set those 3 courses as a course track and then make that course track the prerequisite for the advanced course. So there's all kinds of branching scenarios and things that you can create with these course prerequisite features inside of Lifter LMS.
That's awesome. And we'll do a separate video about course tracks and drip content. But yeah, that's the basics. I'm going to put a link to the course tracks if you're interested in learning more about that. And if you have any questions about this at all, wherever you're watching it, just drop a comment down below or hit us up through our website at lifterlms.com. And that's it for this episode of Feature Friday.